One of the big technology themes at the moment is the consumerization of IT. So what is that and where is it?
This is one of our past predictions. Historically, the latest and greatest technology was bought by the enterprise first and the consumer after. The personal computer started out as an enterprise device. Very few people had home computers. The first cell phones were enterprise tools for business people, not the average consumer. But in 2005, 2006, we saw that trend flip around. All of a sudden, the latest and greatest smartphones were consumer tools, and enterprises sometimes were slow at first. Tablet computers started as consumer devices, and CIOs sometimes were trying to stop employees from signing on to corporate networks. This all led to consumerization of IT and what is also known as bring your own device.
Yeah, and in addition to that, we also had bring their own service. So we had consumers who would bring in their own cloud storage, and you had consumers who would bring in their own voice services and video services as well. So very much consumer-led services.
Which is why it made so much sense that our Wearables prediction last year talked about the consumer.
Yes, and in that regard, we have to make a confession. So our prediction was for 4 million units in 2014 at $2 billion in value. And in terms of units, we were out by about 99%. So we think about actually 40,000 units during the year. And we thought it would be led by the consumer, as had been the case with tablets in 2010.
But those same wearable computers, those head-mounted wearable computers, which had so little traction with the consumer, overwhelming interest from our clients around the world in the enterprise, in medical, in pharmaceutical, in security, manufacturing, materials handling. The list just goes on of people who seem to be thinking about using wearables at the enterprise, even though they are not yet a consumer success. Another example from this year's predictions would be 3D printing. Often talked about as the factory in every home, the consumer marketplace for 3D printing looks to stay very, very small, less than 1% of all economic value in 2015, because they are hard to use. They are things that many people don't even want to use, and they tend to produce small plastic objects that don't have a great deal of utility. At the same time, the enterprise is using these machines to make prototypes, to make tools and dies and jigs and casts and molds, or occasionally to make finished parts.
So that's wearables and 3D printing. Is there anything else which is forming part of this trend?
Internet of Things. There's a lot of buzz about things like connected kettles and crock pots and thermostats, and those are real devices, but once again, the consumer angle, the dollar value around the Internet of Things appears to be fairly small. The number of these devices selling is tens, hundreds of thousands. When we look, on the other hand, at the enterprise market for enterprise of, I called it almost the enterprise of things, the Internet of Things. These are where the real dollar is. The analytics that tell electric utilities about power demand, where short circuits are occurring, or the information that tells appliance manufacturers which devices are being used and how, that's where the billions of dollars are coming in.
And if we look at one other prediction we've got for this year, which is around drones, again, like with 3D printing, the big base is amongst consumers, but the value creation is amongst enterprises. So we're looking at a $1 billion market for aerial viewing, which we think drones can take a share of and also amplify.
And when we sort of think about what does this all mean at the bottom line, a lot of it's about the CIO. Now, CIOs maybe grudgingly went along with the consumerization of IT, but this new trend, which inelegantly I call the ReEnterprization of IT, that's a tremendous advantage for the CIO, because devices that are designed and built from the ground up for the enterprise are going to be more rugged. They're going to have the right features, they're going to fit into existing business processes, they are going to be more secure. And for all of those reasons, a future in where the enterprise leads and the consumer follows will be of an advantage to many of the CIOs and I guess even CFOs at large enterprises worldwide.